Shaman Ka.
And we are so happy to be talking here on Sex Positive Nashville. Sex Positive Nashville is a division of Sex Positive World. It's a wonderful organization that really promotes healthy sexuality with regards to, really honoring consent, boundaries, and your ability to make your own choices of what within consent and boundaries, is your ideal sex life, and really just having a positive, welcoming, all-inclusive, accepting space for wherever your sexuality falls on the spectrum.
And being inspired to search for the awareness of where you fall on your spectrum. Because most of us are existing unaware of what it is that brings us joy, where we find our peace, and especially in the sexual areas. So Sex Positive Nashville is about creating that opportunity to find yourself, and then we just find it together.
Yes. Because everything's better together, and that's kind of our topic for today. So we're talking a lot about love and marriage and relationships and
cohabitating.
Yes, and cohabitating. Ano is now roommates with Marcin and I, so we are nesting together.
And moving in, it's been a week, right? And of course, moving into a new place comes with its own challenges and shaking up of your rhythm, but it also gives you the opportunity to experience other people's rhythms.
Yes.
And this is one of the questions I wanted to ask, because I've watched you and Marcin work, right? I've been doing yoga at sunrise. Why? Because they do yoga at sunrise together. And I'll walk out and I'll hear you guys chanting in the bedroom when they wake up. And I'm like, there's a lot of rhythms that your relationship expresses that are very impressive to me. So I wanted to ask you, and hopefully you could share, how did you come up with this? How did this become your life?
First, I love that you're seeing it, because I say it a lot online, and I wonder if people just think I'm full of shit that I get up and I do yoga every day with my husband. So I got witness, y'all.
Every day, y'all. With the sun beaming through, raising up.
So yeah, I learned, and I encourage all of you to take this as a moment of comfort and compassion. I really learned what I wanted from what I was doing that wasn't working and that wasn't feeling satisfying. So I came out of a relationship where I didn't get to wake up or go to bed with my partner, where we didn't have time carved out to share a meal together or share quiet time together. And instead we were always kind of either passing by or hitting each other, bumping into each other. So it didn't have that fluidity. So I really set out because I saw the benefits that it had in my life. I was like, wow, when I get up every day and I do some yoga and meditation, and when I make a point to have a smoothie and drink my flaxseed water, and I just start working in aloe vera juice at night, because it kind of lubes everything up. You get up in the morning then, and everything's nice and smooth.
Gotta take care of the temples.
Yes. So when I realized wow, this actually makes a difference. And it took a long time, no joke. I started doing yoga, and about 4 years at least passed before I took my teacher training. And even then through all of that, it was very much well, this is the thing I do so my back doesn't hurt. This is the thing I do so, I don't get road rage when I'm driving in Los Angeles.
To reduce my stress and lower my blood pressure.
Yeah. And then it slowly became no, this is daily maintenance. The same way I brush my teeth every day so my fucking grill don't fall out. And the same way I feed my, there are certain things that we just autopilot do that have just become no, this is daily maintenance. My oil leak came on. I need to go get my oil changed in my car. It's the same thing. And so if you do that, and that's why I created this, or why I attracted somebody who would co-create it with me. Was a partner, that got it, that understood that getting up together in the morning and taking a moment to chant before we go to sleep at night and to pray and all of this stuff, these little 2-minute, 5-minute things really solidify and make all of the difference in in the big picture, it's why 3 years later, like I'm still thrilled to like look into his eyes every opportunity that I get. It's why people come into our house and they're like, wow, it feels so comfortable here. It feels so good. Like I feel so at home. I feel so, whatever.
You guys do this heart to heart,
mm-hmm.
and you say certain words, and you're looking each other's eyes as you say these words every morning.
Yeah.
Tell the people.
So we place our left hand on our partner's heart. So and then the right hand goes out because like we're connected to ourselves, we're connected to our partner, but then we're also like out connected to the whole world around us. So it's like this triad thing. And then we say, I trust in the miracles of the universe. I'm grateful for my body. I'm grateful for my spirit. I live in abundance. I live in love. So blessed be. And
they say it at the same time.
Yeah. And we do it
I don't have
times.
it memorized. So I couldn't do that part. But you see, I was holding space.
So we do that together every morning 3 times. And it's something that I did, again, like I started these practices on my own. It was like I would look in a mirror and do stuff like that. Or I would like say, I would just like have my yoga practice. And I used to say, I used to bring both hands to me and I'd say, I'm bountiful, I'm beautiful, I'm blissful, I am. And then, it's just evolved. But yeah, the idea is that like every day we, and that takes, that didn't even take 30 seconds, I bet. Like that is not a long thing that we do, but that little 30 seconds just really sets that course of like, for the rest of today, I am in this body I'm grateful for. It is operated by the spirit that I am also grateful for. I trust in the miracles of the universe. I live in abundance and I live in love. That's sets you up for success. And, there are days when I say it and I'm like, fucking universe, I just want to be in bed right now. And this is bullshit. And like, my inner like teenager is like, this is stupid, but I do it anyway. Right. And it makes not falling into that space where then I would follow my inner voice down to the road of like, yeah, let's just go back to bed. Let's just sit and binge watch some shit for 12 hours and not do anything and sleep in and just smoke all the fucking crap all day. Just like, so it's so important. And it's why, if there's moments when Marcin and I don't see eye to eye on something and we're like having a misunderstanding, we're able to like snap through that shit. In like minutes, like, you
grounded yourself in a deep, positive connection. So when it wavers out, you've done the work, the foundational work. When you mentioned how your inner child or inner teenager is like, bull, I don't want to do this, right? But then the inner parent of you gently is like, look, if you can just give me 30 seconds of your time, just give me 30 seconds of your attention, trust me, we will be so much happier for this in the long run, right? Yeah. So then that's impressive. It's a beautiful thing to see. I have to say for myself, waking up and doing yoga with you guys and doing the breath of fire.
Yeah.
Like when we do mornings, when we're doing that, it totally drives me throughout the day. Yeah. And another thing is you guys can really pop that bad boy like in and out the whole time. I start breath of firing for like 35 seconds. I'm like, but since I'm in the back, right, I can just make the noises. The stomach's not popping.
But no, some of these things, they start as just a concept. They start as a concept that the body has. It maybe starts to get some of the mechanics of it. But studies have shown, like you can sit here and think about driving a race car. Your body starts to go through the same energetic field as if you were actually driving a race car. Right. So just sitting in this space and thinking and feeling, what you think it feels like for your belly to be popping will start to create that. And that is the truth about everything, which is why yoga and meditation is such a huge deal, because it teaches us to sit and harness our imagination, to harness this amazing miracle of a mind that can like fucking come up with like the craziest visual stuff that has such a pulse and an impact. And then it's like, okay, let's focus on this one thing for a certain period of time and just really like sink into it. And then like your body will follow.
And what's awesome about what you just said is that's exactly what you're doing with Duchamp, with Marcin, right? Like it's like you're putting your mind on that attention, and that becomes the reality.
Yeah. Okay.
That's like a perfect chunk.
Thank you. Yeah. No, and it's been wonderful to like have your energy in that space and to like bring in this like nice like fire and the new chants and the new sounds and and that's something we were coming to talk about because this has changed a lot, and in addition to Ano, there have been other friends in our lives who have grown closer and more intimate and more invested. And because we have so many different projects that we do, Church of the Sacrament, My Intimacy Architecture, Sex Positive Nashville, Marcin's a musician, the Experience Cabaret. So it attracts all these different people, some who are business, some who are friends, some who are both, some who overlap on so many levels. And so what inspired us to go live was to talk more about polyamory and what that looks like. So do you what was your first introduction to polyamory?
My first introduction was I guess it was from the psychedelic aspect, right? Like the concept that I didn't own anybody became ingrained in me. And when I was in the burner community, that was maybe my second girlfriend that we shared the idea, right? And a lot of times I wasn't the main person.
Right.
There would be an existing relationship and I would add something to it. I would be brought in to situations. And it wasn't really talked about a lot at first. It was just, I was there and my presence became just a part of it. It really wasn't all that sensual and sexual most of the time. It was just very intimate, right? And when two men share such intimate space and share such attention with somebody, it builds something. So I guess that would be my response. I mean, talk to me, tell me.
Yeah. I realized I was always poly. I was just cheating on people a lot. Like I didn't have a language for it. I didn't have a vocabulary or an understanding. I was, introduced to the idea that you go and find a partner, and you're with that person until you die. And that's the only person you ever get. And so I was like, I'm going to stay single. So on the rare occasion, so that was always sort of my cop out, was like, I would never like let you call me your girlfriend or say that you were my boyfriend. I was like, I'm single and we're dating and I'm dating other people. Or if I got into the girlfriend mode, then inevitably I cheated on that person.
Right.
And the one time I didn't cheat on someone, they cheated on me. And I wasn't even upset about it. I was actually more upset because I knew the girl and I was like, y'all, like we could have like done something all together. Like that was my annoyance. My annoyance was like we could all, like three of us, like, and so those were the moments when I look back and I realized like, even then, like I knew I wanted something that was like allowed for that connection, but I just didn't know how to like explain or ask for that. So then I tried poly in my previous marriage, but it was a poly approach where it was like there were a lot of rules that were set, and so it was like there were a lot of like boundaries and parameters, and so this situation that I have now is really full of autonomy. I mean, I definitely recognize like a higher, like Marcin is my primary partner. He is like numero uno in my world. But like, we really don't come to each other to like check in about stuff. It's like, we really do trust like you are going to make adult decisions and you are going to only say yes to things that are of the highest good for all concerned. And just really trust that. So this week has been interesting because, I think a lot of people, and poly is so many different things to so many people, right? I mean,
let's try to
go through the scope. Okay.
Or like define it. Like what
right.
So like poly to me means that I'm not monogamous. That's it. It's kind of, defined in the negative.
Mhm.
So that means it could be almost anything.
Right.
And then it becomes an open discussion. So it's a claim of a possibility
Mhm.
of what could be. That's how I
I like
experience
that.
poly.
Yeah. I guess I use poly as like a deep, I feel like the idea of open relationship, because I feel like I'm in a relationship with everything, and the idea that, that's an open door policy. Like, people will come in and people will sometimes stay and people will go out, and as I will go in and out. So yeah, I don't know that I just necessarily subscribe to the idea that I'm polyamorous because I have multiple like sexual relationships going on, because the majority of my relationships are actually not sexual. And this is something that Marcin and I talked about the other day, is that just the sheer fact that we've chosen to have a open relationship or a polyamorous relationship has allowed us to have deep, intimate connections with people that you otherwise wouldn't, because the average marriage of monogamy would say that my walking around naked with another man in the room that is not my husband is not okay. Or that that my husband being in the same room as a woman who is not his wife, who is topless and hugging that person is not okay. And I'm very grateful that I see the difference between sexuality and sensuality, and the importance of shared intimacy that goes beyond the primary partner. And the best way I could equate it, this is what I've been thinking about lately, is like, in monogamy, like you're playing tennis, and tennis is awesome. Like, you play with each other, but like, I want to play soccer. Like, you need a lot of people to play soccer. And when that happens, it's like, I had an experience with Marcin. We have a beautiful conversation. I go to Ano. Ano and I have this amazing conversation. Ano goes and he talks to somebody else, and there's that piece of that, and that piece of that conversation, there's this emotion and this wisdom and all the things that I would define as intimacy, keeps moving. And that means the love and the beauty that comes of it keeps expanding and expanding. It's just like, so yeah, I feel like that, I'm a soccer player, and I want to, hi, we saved you. You're okay.
That's the special effect, the flying effect.
And it's such a funny thing that, because what's shifted for me now is I no longer have that feeling of falling in love. And so a dear friend of ours is in this gorgeous relationship with someone else, and they have really like shown up to talk so much about this idea of not just like having that fiery attraction, just being like, and only to find out that relationship is like a disaster, right. Unhealthy. And instead to be like, oh, wow, like, let me take this moment to really know you and share with you and have intimacy and be vulnerable and do all these things that have nothing to do with penis, vagina, sex, and instead still have this like amazing spirit, this like cosmic jizz all over the place. Like,
we are such complicated beings, right? And the idea of the way that you nest with Marcin, right? Like that connection won't necessarily be with everyone, and but the nesting one becomes the most important one, right? So if you're trying to nest with somebody that you have a great sexual chemistry with, but he can't stop peeing on the floor, right? Then it doesn't work, right? So like, and then when you can then have the guy who pees on the floor, but send him out. So being able to move in the energies that fit and but connect on the levels that fit between you and a person, rather than trying to just say, well, I need the fire, and then that fire just wreaks havoc throughout the rest of your life.
Yeah. So yeah, I've decided I don't want the burning down the house fire. Like, I want like an array of candles, like a beautiful like Catholic cathedral. Like my relationships, I want them to be people who are like pillars of their own light, and they reflect other people's light, and they, shine brighter and everything. But yeah, that everyone really is like solid in their space, and all together we make this like glorious glowing inferno. But no one who's just like burning shit down.
Okay. So now we're about to get personal.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Yeah.
It's been a little over a week. So like,
Right.
what's been the most surprising, good, positive thing about cohabitating conmigo with me? And what's been the most surprising / challenging thing?
I'll get the first one out. Because we are creatures of habit in our sleeping habit. So like the dogs will bark when you come home. So that's like just getting used to like not letting it disturb me and like just staying in the restful place and like knowing like it's cool, like it's all known.
Because they definitely have a different timing pattern as far as sleeping and waking than I do.
Well, you pretty much get up with us, but you don't go to bed when we go. So sometimes you've gotten like 2 hours sleep or something. It's like you came home late and like we're like up at 6 a.m. But and I appreciate that. I was like, wow, that's fucking rock star of you. Like that's impressive. But yeah, you really just like fold into a space like there. Because I've lived with a lot of people, you know, like I'm definitely one of those like U-Haul type people. Like I meet somebody and I'm like, we're moving in together. So, and I'm someone who has a lot of stuff. So I appreciate like how minimalistic you are. And then like whatever things you have, they just like it's just like you wouldn't know Ano's here, but there is this beautiful shift of just like this little extra layer of like peace and like grounding and beauty, but it just like so subtle. It's just like it just like slipped in and it's just like you come home one day and you're like, has that vase always been here? Isn't that lovely? Like I bet I've had that vase forever. Like, you know, and you just kind of like appreciate it more. So yeah, everything is just like, wow, like I really appreciate like the ease and yeah. So yeah, it's been lovely. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Wow. All right, let's see here. Honestly, we'll go with the most challenging. The most challenging part for me is feeling like I'm doing the right thing. You know, like, I mean, there are times probably that I'm restraining myself from doing a lot of things. Like, I mean, whether it's touching you or talking to you or just being in the same room, right? There are times where like I won't walk through the kitchen. I'll wait for somebody to leave the kitchen before I go through. Or, you know, I won't turn on something because I don't want to make any noise. So, I mean, there's a sense of not quite tiptoeing, but like just still being a little uneasy about where I'm supposed to be. But I feel, I mean, perfectly fine with that because it's
only been a week.
Right. It's only been a week.
We've made great progress for a week. I gotta tell you, like, the house is solid.
But
our altar's already set up here. I'm going to show you our altar.
We have an altar. See?
That's the altar. We have a cozy corner for Sex Positive Nashville for when we have talk and touch parties. Cozy corner. And we're back. So, so adjusting to a new space and trying to be mindful, right? Because it's
right. Not wanting to make too much noise and put my things in the wrong place, and I do feel your queendom. Like I do feel like this is your world, and I want you to feel comfortable in your world. And to do that, I need to make sure that I'm that gentle, wispy energy that you feel so comfortable with. So it's working, y'all.
But yeah, I mean, of course, I want you to feel comfortable because it's a shared space.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And I definitely.
It's our world, but I queen it.
But the best part, I would say, it's the naked morning yoga.
Thank you.
Definitely. Why they have they do a mat, and then my mat's behind you, right behind, and so since 2008, to the point where I would flip a coin before I would use reason.
No, wow, interesting.
And I would go with that coin flip because for whatever my reasons were, right? I reasoned that to get where I had to go, I had to give up reason. And so I've lived my life in that manner. Yeah. So waking up each morning, I do it very intuitively, right? Mm-hmm. But the right thing to do in this situation is simply wake up and join. So it's not like I'm consciously planning to make it happen. I'm completely following my intuitive bliss, but because of those systems that are around me now, it's drawing these things out of me. So that is incredible. Yeah. And the meals, like I didn't expect that we would eat as many meals together. And you really brought me in to a unit. You brought me into the family. They didn't just bring in a roommate. They brought in a brother.
Mi familia.
Yes. Oh, and completely the relationship that Marcia and I are developing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I did not know the brotherhood and the comfort that we were going to share. That is the most surprising by far. So like, yeah, it's an interesting thing being a third, being the one that comes into a unit. I need so much time to myself and so much silence. I didn't realize how much silence and time to myself I needed till I was really around people. And a lot of relationships that I've had, the women, my partner, have felt ignored, right? So the magic of a poly relationship for me is that everybody gets taken care of and I get left the fuck alone.
and that's an interesting thing. You said two things I want to get back to. One is that, like the company that you're keeping is affecting the choices that you're making. And it's something my family used to tell me all the time when I was a kid. And I disregarded it a lot because I was like, no, I'm making the choices I'm making. But and that was true to some extent. But if you're around people who keep choosing to play pool, you're most likely going to choose to play pool. If you're around people who keep a negative attitude, you are most likely going to slip into that default space and join in. Because we are such social creatures, it really is in our nature to want to do what the pack does. And so it's really important to be mindful of like, who's your fucking pack? Because if your pack is broke and complaining and sad and frustrated and like that's their life like 24/7, like, and that isn't the life that you want to be living, or you're wondering like, gee, why doesn't my life ever change? Stuff just keeps on sucking. It is pretty likely that like, you're not going to see the outside of the hole if you have people who just want to keep digging. So I think it is like, I have been super selective in the company I keep. Like, I am not someone who besties up easily anymore. This was, really a choice of just like, oh yeah, like this is like leveling up. Like, this is someone who's going to come in and enhance an already epic situation. And then, this idea that, one partner should do all the things, that you should have one person who can meet all of the needs, and you shouldn't need anybody else. Because if you need somebody else, then your partner's somehow failing you. And that's just a lot to put on any one person. I mean, I don't think, we don't just have one relationship of any sort in our life. We don't just have one friend. We don't just have one family member. Again, we are pack at our very like roots, and like we are pack people.
It's also a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Right.
Because if somebody has to fit all of your needs, that means you must meet all of theirs.
Or that's usually the thing that makes you think I'm too much or I'm not enough. It's like, oh, I'm too much. No one can meet all my needs. I'm not enough. I can't meet this other person's needs. And that's really not true. Like, the truth is that you have this opportunity to it's like the Justice League. Like, I'm not a big superhero geek, but like, I feel like that's the best like way I can relate it to something that's like anyone would know is like, right? Like Superman's cool and Wonder Woman's cool. And I don't know who the fuck is in the Justice League, but like you get the general idea. But like, then when you get them all together, then it's like, oh shit, like it's on.
They can stop meteors.
Yeah. So that's what it's like, you know? So yeah, so and there's challenges that come with it, like no lie. So this has been the challenge in the course of the last, well, I guess maybe longer than the week, but over the course of, you know, a fairly small span, in our great infinite time, there's been someone who has come along. We'll call her Ah came along, and I have a very beautiful, intimate relationship with Ah. Is someone who my husband is working with on a project. When you're artistically and creating with somebody, like that shit gets really deep and felt. You know, there's definitely like attractions between them all across the board. I'm attracted to her. She's attracted to me. She's attracted to him. He's attracted to her. We're all attracted to each other. But also what comes with that is like, you know, all the programming logistics of our everyday life. So I have siblings that, you know, I have a big family. So attention is a really big thing for me. Like if I feel like I'm not being paid attention to, that's usually when my inner selves are like, and I have to like talk them off the ledge and remember that like I live in abundance. Like there is plenty for everyone. Like maybe I just need to like be happy to be alone or like,
and since you've done the work each morning,
yes,
you have some option to
right.
that.
Yes. Right. So my default place isn't like, my husband's fucking cheating. This woman's gonna take my man. Like, you know, but it's easy to go there. And so what transpired was one day, everyone was here working and I felt slighted. Like I felt like someone else got a longer, more fruitful kiss goodbye than I had received, you know? And so we do this in all areas of our life, whatever it is, we compare. We're like, I did it with my brothers. Like it was the same thing as like, he got a bigger scoop of ice cream than I did. And, you know, all kinds of like silly shit that we do that like the grass is greener. Someone's got a one up. Someone's got the thing that you don't have. And
it's
therefore
just not fair.
It's not fair. Right. So that was like one thing. And so I addressed that and I'm like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. And I'm processing all that. And I make a request. And that request is met, but then I'm analyzing it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Was that request really met? I think, you know, that I still wasn't being fully paid attention to the way I wanted to be paid attention to. And so I'm like spinning the story and I'm like, okay, we're like, this isn't really real. You know, like what is the root of this feeling? Like the root of this feeling comes from something long, long ago. And like, that isn't my present. Like what is real in my present? My present is I have, you know, a lot of self-love and I have a lot of wonderful tools. I can like tap into myself. I can go connect with other people. I can ask my partner for what I need. All right, come back. Here we go. So the third time, people are all here and now there's multiple people. It's expanding and Ah gets all the attention. Like Ah's having a breakthrough, beautiful moment of like transformation and like really like sharing from this heartfelt, vulnerable place. And all eyes are on her. And I'm just like, fucking yeah, like I deserve spotlight me. And I go to that place though, like I don't come out of it. Like I went in and I proceeded to cook lunch all for myself and eat by myself and pout and be mad that I was eating. And it's one of those funny things, like I can totally laugh about it now because in the moment what I wanted was for all of us to eat lunch together and have a communal meal and talk and share because I knew that like the story that she was sharing overlapped with experience I had and I wanted to hear everyone's insight and I wanted to like, you know, and we all wanted to have that. But I, instead of like taking that breath in that moment of feeling like a sense of resistance or feeling a sense of lack or fear, really, you know, that moment when I followed fear instead, if I could have just stayed with love, I would have seen like, oh, wow, like love reminds me that like, all I need to do is just like have this moment where I get to also shine on someone else. Like sun doesn't always have to shine on me. I could shine on someone else, and then I can ask for what I want, that we all share this meal. But instead of being in that place of love, I followed fear, and fear and I had a pouty lunch together all by ourselves, and then we're pissed. And then, days go by, and I process through that, and I ask for what I want, and things get clear. And now, here we are, like just the other day, we're all together and everyone's sharing, and it's beautiful and it's lovely, and we all have lunch together, and it's fantastic. And it is because of all those little things, all of the like day in, day out practices that really make a difference in how easily I can return to that state of love that reminds me that, the beauty of relationships is we are in relationship with everything, and you're never alone, and there is always plenty, enough, all your needs are met. And and to just really,
the thing that really pops out to me in this whole situation is when you were, butthurt, you ran off to a corner, although that was a choice that you made, it was still a good one. Why do I say such? You could have gotten butthurt and came into the room and expressed to us your dismay, which would have completely changed not only the energy then, but how the energy rippled out. Because from that day to a month later, what's being experienced by everyone that was involved is an awareness of how that moment went, how everybody felt in that moment, and a chance for us to be like, okay, there were things that could be done better, but the fact that you acted patiently and you allowed yourself to feel those feelings, right? You were perfectly real to feel those feelings, and then you went and you dealt with them your own way, rather than making that an issue for everybody to deal with right now.
Right.
And because of that, like all of this we all get a chance to learn.
Yeah.
And the solidity that is happening is because of the patient show. The thing about Polly is that there's a lot of weight on all of your actions, on all of your moments. And if you misstep, you can crack ice that is just broken. So you must be very mindful. And that's why it's such a hard thing for groups of people to do. And that's why you must do your work ahead of time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the story for today. Love and marriage.
And cohabitation.
So it has been a pleasure to be with you, Sex Positive Nashville. And we have some awesome Sex Positive Nashville events coming up. There's actually a Sex Money Power Workshop coming up this Saturday. We I have to look at my calendar here. And then we have a Talk and Touch event at the end of the month on Sunday, August 26th. So if you're not already on our meetup group, please check out meetup.com, Sex Positive Nashville, and sign up for our meetup group and be in all the loop of all the wonderful things that we've got going.
And the first Sunday of every month, we have our Sacred Sundays with Church of the Sacrament. And we look forward to dancing and celebrating with you on the first Sunday of the month.
Thank you so much for being here. Blessings. Happy relating. Yay. Hi, honey.
Sacred Chat 1, Sex Positive.